We're an industry that prides itself on having product that has the right values. This is one of those papers. I have Hugh. Hugh, take it away.
Okay, thank you, Charles. So my name's Hugh Williams. I work for the LYCRA Company in Switzerland. I'm responsible for our new business ventures there. I'm also responsible for our polyester businesses, the COOLMAX and THERMOLITE businesses, and other such initiatives that we have. Okay? What I wanted to talk to you about today was some new technology we have, which basically takes textile waste and recycles it into high-performance products for cooling and warming applications. We call those products COOLMAX for cooling applications, THERMOLITE for thermal applications, warming applications. And I'm going to tell you all about those. One other thing I'd like to mention is that the products that we're talking about today are all with low BPA. Bisphenol A has been a topic which has popped up in the industry in the last few weeks or months. And all the items that we're talking about here are available with sub 1 ppm BPA levels, which is consistent with the California Proposition 65 initiative, for example. Okay? So what I'm going to start with is to talk a little bit about the problem that we have and the way what consumers are thinking and the way we're going to approach it. Okay? And of course I'll talk about the products and items that we actually have commercially available at the moment to enable us to step forward into circularity right now. Okay? So as you all know, every year around 100 billion garments are made, and about 85% of those garments actually end up in landfill. That's an astonishing 1 garbage truck every second. 1 garbage truck a second of used textiles into landfills. Just an incredible figure. Yeah? The other thing to note is that over the last 5 or 6 years, our consumption has increased. Basically, we're buying way more clothes than we were just a few years ago, and we're keeping them half as long. So in other words, this textile waste problem is becoming a real monster, and it's catching up with us, as the chart tries to indicate. Okay? Now, this chart talks about what we already know. We know that we're living beyond our means, and if we continue to consume it the way we are, basically we'll need 3 planet Earths to sustain us by 2050. And that, again, is another astonishing and sobering statistic as we think about ourselves in the industry and, of course, ourselves as consumers. Okay? Sorry. Now, the interesting thing is that consumers are becoming aware of the problem out there. Okay? They're becoming aware of the textile waste issue. And in some recent research that we did, we found that already over 80% of all brands, of all consumers, expected brands to do the right thing. Already almost 55% of consumers wanted to improve their own footprint when it comes to textile waste. And 70% of consumers already think that sustainability is one of the top 3 items that they should be on the top of their list of issues in the world globally at the moment. So consumers are becoming aware of the issue. The very good news is that they're actually starting to change their habits as well. So again, in this piece of research, we found that 60% of consumers are actually already changing their shopping habits to try to improve their sustainability profile. 50%, more than 50% only buy from brands that they really trust. And consequently, sustainably marketed products are basically growing 7 times faster than conventionally marketed products. And as you can see here, 55% of consumers almost feel that they're already doing something to improve the sustainability profile of their environment. So the great news is the consumers are aware of the problem, and they're beginning to do something about it. Now, of course, within the industry, everyone in this room, everyone in this hall wants to do something about this as well. And we at the LYCRA Company are no different. In fact, we set out our sustainability policy called Planet Agenda back in 2008. And we haven't actually changed the approach at all since that time. We've obviously added new initiatives and made improvements, but the 3 pillars of Planet Agenda stay the same. The first pillar is all about corporate responsibility. That's really about doing the right thing 100% of the time, all the time. Okay? It's about being an employer of choice. It's about being someone who is a trusted supplier, and it's about being a good neighbor to the stakeholders who surround us. Okay? The second pillar is all about manufacturing excellence. It's clearly all about making products as efficiently as possible, reducing reducing emissions and electricity usage, water consumption, this kind of thing, monitoring progress. And actually, we've just issued our first sustainability report where we commit ourselves to certain improvements going forward in the future. And the third pillar, sorry, is actually what we're going to talk about today, and that's what we're doing to actually improve the sustainability profile of the products that we make, using less resources to make the products, ensuring that the products actually last longer, and ultimately can be recovered and reused and put back into the textiles cycle again. So that's really the philosophy behind our the product sustainability pillar of our Planet Agenda process. Okay? And you may have heard, actually, just 2 weeks ago, we announced, for example, that we're going to move most of our LYCRA product to bio-based feedstock in the next couple of years. And we're also working with the company HiQ on the new ionic fiber, which is a carbon-negative cellulosic filament yarn, which we think is going to have great potential in the industry. So we're doing a lot of things on the product side, not just right now, but also for the future. Okay? What I want to talk about now is what's available at the moment that you can actually buy that makes a difference. Yeah? We'll talk about a new technology that we introduced earlier last year, which takes textile waste and again recycles it into performance fibres for the industry to use. And as such creates that starting point for circularity. What we're doing, we're using that cutting waste to create COOLMAX and THERMOLITE branded performance fibres. The waste is actually collected from specific garment makers. It's dyed and finished fabric. It's colored and ready for use. It's the residual of the cutting process. We're collecting that, and we're basically turning that into premium fiber for reuse. The actual technology, the technology itself, does work with garments. Okay, and ultimately, when garment collection and sorting systems are available, we want to extend this process to capture garments and recycle those as well. So as I've said, what we're doing at the moment is we're going to the cutters, specific cutters. We're taking waste from those cutters, moving it to a recycling center. It's being depolymerized back to monomer, cleaned up, and then repolymerized into virgin quality chip, which is then remade into fiber, reprocessed into fabric, and as the fabric then goes back into the cutting factory, the waste is collected again and then repurposed. Okay, so as I've said, what we want to do is extend the process ultimately with some brand partner collaborations or some retail partner collaborations, so that we can collect garments and go and complete that circle from a consumer perspective. But one thing I wanted to say was, if you think about the one garbage truck of used garments going to waste every second, if you think about cutting waste, if you think about, when you make a garment, you make 20% cutting waste, plus or minus. So what it means is that every 3, 4, 5 seconds, there's a garbage truck of cutting waste also going to landfill as well, going to waste. So the textile waste problem is actually the cutting waste problem is actually a huge problem, and one that we don't talk about very often. So what we thought as the LYCRA company, we thought, well, we could wait a year or two until we get brands and retailers to help us collect and sort garments, and then start this process, or we can start right now by grabbing the cutting waste, which we can collect and sort, and put this into the process and start to deal with this textiles waste problem right away. So that's what we're doing at the moment, taking the cutting waste, recycling it. What we want to do is find brand partners to help us collect the garments, sort, and ultimately create that consumer circular economy inside performance textiles. Okay. Now, from an LCA perspective, LCA is obviously very important to consider when you look at recycling, yeah? And what we find, the highlight of the LCA analysis is that when you use this new process versus making virgin polyester chip, you save about 25% of your CO2, okay? Now, beyond that, of course, what you're doing is you're actually keeping plastic that has already been made in the system. So you're keeping plastic plastic. You're not making new plastic. You're keeping what's already been made in process. And of course, because we are depolymerizing, cleaning, and making essentially virgin quality chip, the product that you get out of this is not compromised in any way. You can essentially, you can basically make premium fibers for critical dye applications, warp knitting, any other application you can think of. You're back to the beginning again of making superior product. Okay. What I want to talk about now is the consumer context and what consumers are looking for in their kind of warming and cooling products. Okay. Start off by talking about COOLMAX EcoMade. COOLMAX is the brand we use for cooling technology, fabrics which create cooling effects. Okay. Now, on the left-hand side of this chart, you can see what consumers want. Clearly, consumers are wanting temperature control, particularly in hot summers. Yeah, they're wanting fabrics that actually feel soft, feel good, feel natural. Actually, feel like what they want to be wearing. They need to be durable. And that's clearly critically important from a sustainability perspective. And they also want versatile garments. It's very clear to us at the moment with the very hot summers, most of us don't have access to air conditioning. What we can do with COOLMAX is we can create garments which actually have cooling properties, which make you more comfortable in hot summers, for example, or in offices with non-air conditioned environments. Yeah? And as we've just talked about, consumers want sustainability. What we do to address those needs is we produce fibers with very strange cross sections. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to maximize the surface area of the fiber and use those in fabrics in a way that maximizes the rate of evaporation. Okay? So we're trying to create fabrics which evaporate moisture very quickly. And we'll all be familiar with the effects of evaporation from using alcohol gel on our hands. We all know when we rub our hands with alcohol gel, what happens? You feel cold. And that's exactly what we're doing with COOLMAX. The cooling in COOLMAX all comes from evaporation, and that's really the unique feature of our product. It's all about maximizing the rate of evaporation and creating cooling effects. In terms of versatility, what we can offer consumers are basically filament yarns and staple fibers, different cut lengths, so you can make natural blends with cotton, you can do blends with viscose and tencel, you can do wool blends, you can use the fibers in filament form, for example, for the more traditional, higher impact running and fitness applications. And in short, basically, you can make almost any garment that you wish with these technologies that we have available. And over the last couple of years, probably already 50% of our business has moved, if you like, from sportswear into ready-to-wear. And ready-to-wear is basically an absolutely critical segment for us at the moment, and one that obviously we would expect to grow more and more as energy becomes tight and as we all try to improve our sustainability profile in the hot summers. Okay. Now, another unique thing about COOLMAX is that we don't just make a good fiber, we actually test the fabric that the fiber goes into. And that's very important because the way in which the fabric is constructed and finished can limit the cooling effects that you get in fabric. So what we do is we actually have all the fabrics that are made basically go into our labs. They're tested for their cooling characteristics, they're tested for durability, and we also benchmark performance versus other products that we see in the market. We do routine shopping and basically bring product in and see how we're doing versus the market. And what we typically find is that around a third of products in the market don't work particularly well and certainly wouldn't meet our brand standards. Beyond the testing, we also ensure that the products carry internationally recognized certifications, such as the Oekotex standard and the GRS standard. Okay. Now, if the fabrics actually meet those specifications that we have, we allow the fabric to carry the COOLMAX brand. Okay. COOLMAX brand is actually quite an interesting brand. It's extremely well known. You can see here it's in the top, at least the top 3 of the most well-known brands, cooling brands globally. And it has very high awareness, and also it actually drives purchase intent. It drives purchase preference. So it's a very important feature of our value proposition, the COOLMAX brand, because it enables brands and retailers to easily explain to consumers that their products are of high quality and that they actually perform, okay? And again, the fabric certification we think is critical. It's not about just making the performance fiber, it's about ensuring it works in the fabric, and that brand promise of cool comfort goes through to the consumer, linked to the important brand that we have. Okay. What I wanted to do now is talk a little bit more about THERMOLITE, okay, which is the winter partner, if you like, for COOLMAX. And we're at the show here, we're introducing some new products in the insulation area to complement the fabric, the THERMOLITE fabric products that we already have, made from 100% textile waste. Okay, again available with the low BPA content. Yeah. So what we've got on the show, what we're introducing today are two forms of batting. We have the roll batting, or the roll insulation, or the batting, the non-woven construction. We have that available in various weights, okay? And we also have blown insulation, which is the kind of like the feather replacement product that you blow into your insulating garment, okay? The next chart basically talks about the roll insulation, the batting product. We've got the thin insulation and the mid-loft insulation here. The THERMOLITE products are orange, various competitive products in blue. And what we're measuring here is warmth per unit weight, CLO per unit weight, okay? The THERMOLITE brand promise is lightweight warmth. We measure primarily warmth per unit weight to assess that the brand promise has been achieved, yeah? And what you can see here is, if you like, despite the fact that these products are made from recycled textiles, you get great performance, as good performance as you get from any other product that's in the market, if not better. Yeah. Similarly, the same chart basically for the blown insulation, the kind of the down replacement product. Again, from a warmth per unit weight perspective, the THERMOLITE there in orange you can see basically has really astonishing warming properties for its weight. As good as or better than other products in the market, as you can see. Yeah? And if you then take a quick look, if you look then at the recycled content in these various products we've just been talking about, the THERMOLITE products are the items on the left. The first three columns on the left in dark green, and basically you can see that again, despite having very high recycled content, including the textile waste items, you again get those great performance characteristics. Yeah? And just to talk a little bit about durability, the orange items here again talk to the durability of the THERMOLITE products made with textile waste versus competitive products. The top chart is talking about wash durability, and the bottom chart talks to fiber migration. So again, it's not just performing well as new, it's performing well after washing and after washing and use and so on. Okay, and again, these are referring here to the products made with the new textile waste ingredients. Okay, and then just talking also, as I did for COOLMAX, talking about the THERMOLITE brand a little. Yeah. What consumers want here is on the right-hand side of the chart. Basically, obviously, consumers want warmth. And they want lightweight warmth. They want to be comfortable wearing these garments. They don't want bulky garments. They want lightweight, comfortable garments, and that's particularly important at the moment as we head for the winter with limited energy, reduced ability to pay for heating, and reduced temperatures in many cases, particularly in offices and even apartments. So we think that. We have a very interesting value proposition here as we head towards the winter seasons, and the fact that in the future we'll have less energy to heat our homes, for example. Okay, so again, consumers wanting versatility now, probably more so than ever, as they have to we actually have to adapt to live at home in colder environments, and again, consumers wanting sustainability. In terms of the product we offer, the THERMOLITE products, the textile waste products, they're all based on hollow fiber technology. This is basically copying the polar bear fur. Polar bears have fur with hollow fibers. And so that's what we're doing. We're basically taking that concept and copying it. The air, the hole basically traps air, so you end up with a lower density fiber, so you have a lower weight fiber trapping more air than you otherwise would have, creating a better insulating effect. And that's how you get your lightweight warmth. And again, just as with COOLMAX, we have a broad range of products available. We have staple fibers for blending into fabrics, with wool blends and cotton blends, for example. We have filament fibers, which are great for things like base layers and other performance applications. And of course, we have the insulation products that I just talked about. These being made either in the batting form for sewing into fabrics, into garments, or in blown insulation form for use as down replacement. Okay. And again, as with COOLMAX, we don't just make the fiber. Our job doesn't stop there. We actually make sure that the fabrics containing thermolite fiber actually work in practice. So we measure warmth, we measure durability, and again, we benchmark regularly our products versus other products in the market. So we assure that the consumer that the garments they buy actually work, and when they buy a thermolite garment, they're buying amongst the best products in the market. And again, as with COOLMAX, GRS and Oekotex certification are all included. Okay, and likewise as with COOLMAX, if the fabrics containing our products meet our brand standards in terms of warming and durability, they can be used in conjunction with the Thermolite brand. Thermolite brand is also very interesting. Amongst consumers there, it's the most well-known brand out there globally. Okay, and it's not just well-known, as with COOLMAX, it also drives purchase preference and purchase intent. So it's a very powerful tool, and again, providing the fabrics meet the brand standards, brands and retailers can use the brand in conjunction with their products to endorse the quality and the performance to their consumers. Okay, so in summary, what we have made with textile waste now, we have filament products, staple products, insulation products, all currently available, made from basically 100% cutting waste, recycled cutting waste. They're available, and these products are actually available now. It's not done on a pilot plant, it's actually done on a commercial facility where we have full-scale production capability. And as I've said, we think they're an important step forward in the road to creating a circular economy. At the moment, we're working with cutting waste, creating a circular economy inside the industry. As I've said, what we're looking for are garment partners to work with so that ultimately we can take that externally and form a circular economy in the consumer world. The COOLMAX and THERMOLITE eco-made products made from textile waste join the LYCRA Company's broader portfolio of eco-made items. We have LYCRA eco-made LYCRA eco-made fiber, for example, which is our LYCRA spandex fiber, which contains recycled content. We have LYCRA T400 eco-made fiber. LYCRA T400 is our polyester-based stretch technology, and that can be, in the eco-made form, contains post-consumer bottle waste and bio-based ingredients. And then, as I've just talked about, we have COOLMAX and THERMOLITE eco-made fibers. We have the established ranges which use 100% post-consumer bottles. And now we have what I've been talking about today, the COOLMAX and THERMOLITE technologies based on 100% recycled textile cutting waste, forming the starting point for circularity in the performance fibers markets. And indeed, that's what I'd like to ask you to do. I mean, I'd like you to think about what I've said, the products that we have on offer, which certainly offer a starting point into the circular economy. And I hope we can all sit together and collaborate and begin to go forward into this textiles circular economy in a very practical way in the performance fibers and fabrics market. Thank you all.
Can I ask you to show your appreciation for Hugh? Okay. We can take a question from the audience easily. Can I highlight that you do not get the big people at the top of the supply chain being this open and willing to collaborate? This is a wonderful opportunity. We might not appreciate it. The people who do look at the supply chain, this is a major change.
Thanks, Charles. Thank you, Hugh. That was really informative. Thanks very much. Cindy Rhodes from Warren Again Technologies, and I had a couple of questions around, firstly, your depolymerization process. Is it something that was already existing? Is this something you developed yourselves? What does that look like? What scale are you at? And where is it happening?
Okay. Yeah, so I would say the polymerization facility already existed, but what we did is we collaborated with the operator and various other partners to ensure that the products going into the facility were collected from known sources and were handled by known people so that we knew exactly what was going in, and that we basically ensured that the facility was properly operated so that what we got out was what we put in, and that we could we could get ourselves comfortable that we were actually buying, if you like, polymer chip made from the ingredients that we had sourced and put forward. So yes, it was an existing facility, but the way in which it's being integrated within the supply chain, if you like, is quite different, and we've really worked hard to ensure that we have, I would say, excellent transparency around what's going on the input side, so that we know what we're buying. Okay.
Great, thank you. And are you able to share where the location is, and also are you looking to eventually take in post-consumer textiles as well?
Yeah, so at the moment the facility today is in China. Yeah. The facility today is in China, and we are using, we're collecting material from known cutters in China. We are very, very, very keen on expanding that to recycling garments, but we, as the LYCRA company, from our position in the supply chain, we cannot collect garments and sort garments. We need an industry partner to help us do that. At the moment, that would have to be basically inside China because the authorities don't allow the import of used garments. So obviously what we're looking at is ways of actually extending this recycling technology, if you like, into other regions with other partners to enable us to really take this forward. I mean, the technology basically exists. What doesn't exist is the collection and sorting process that's needed to feed the technology.
If you're not into waste textile, Hugh has just been remarkably candid, and you've identified actually what the next panel's about in that very question. But we're going to have to move on. Can I ask you once again to show your appreciation for Hugh, please?
Okay.
Hugh's going to hang around on the side of the stage for the next 5 minutes if you want to speak to him in detail. This talk, by the way, is uploaded in about 10 days' time, so you can play it back and see the detail. But we're going to put some chairs on stage, get the first panel, and we'll kick off in about 5 minutes.